The sun was setting over the palace of Queen Erisol, casting long golden shadows over the crystal towers and gardens. Despite the beauty around her, the queen's heart felt heavy. It had been 10 long years since her daughters vanished without a trace. 3 bright stars of her life taken by forces unknown, leaving a quiet emptiness in the palace halls. Every night, she walked through the corridors where their laughter used to echo, whispering their names softly to herself. The people of the kingdom tried to comfort her, but even the warmest words could not fill the space left by the missing princesses. Rumors floated across the galaxy, whispers that they had been captured by rogue alien factions, or perhaps they had been lost in a warp storm during a journey. None of it could be confirmed. Queen Erisol had tried everything: search teams, interstellar trackers, even sending diplomats to distant planets, but each attempt ended in disappointment. And yet, she remained strong. Her people admired her grace, her courage, and her wisdom, even in the face of such personal tragedy. The queen had learned to mask her sorrow behind the calm dignity of a ruler, but inside, she still dreamed of the day her daughters would return. Far away, in a galaxy known for its treacherous star systems and mysterious nebulae, a human named Elias adjusted the controls of his small exploration ship. Elias was not a soldier, nor a diplomat, but a wanderer with sharp instincts and an unshakable curiosity about the universe. His ship was modest compared to the fleets of alien empires, yet it carried something more powerful than weapons: his mind and his determination. Elias had heard stories about the queen's missing daughters while trading at a bustling spaceport on the edge of a neutral planet. Merchants spoke in hushed tones about the reward offered to anyone who could return the princesses safely. But Elias was not motivated by gold or fame. He was drawn to the challenge, the mystery, and the chance to prove that humans, though fragile compared to many alien species, could achieve remarkable things. When Elias arrived at Queen Erisol's planet, he was struck by its beauty. Crystal towers shimmered in the sunlight, and gardens of strange, colorful plants bloomed in every courtyard. Alien beings of every shape and size moved through the streets, some curious, some cautious, as he passed. The human's appearance was unusual: tall, lightly built, and with no scales, feathers, or carapace, but he carried himself with calm confidence. The palace guards watched him closely. Humans were known in many parts of the galaxy for boldness, sometimes recklessness. Yet there was something different about Elias. He did not shout or brandish weapons. Instead, he observed carefully, asked questions politely, and listened more than he spoke. Finally, he was led to the queen's audience chamber, a vast room filled with floating lights and holographic displays. Queen Erisol sat on a throne carved from a single piece of crystal, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and strength. When she looked at Elias, there was a faint flicker of doubt. Could a human truly help her reclaim what she had lost? "I am Elias," he said, bowing slightly. I'm not here to claim reward or title. I wish only to help you find your daughters." The queen studied him silently. His words were simple, but they carried honesty. She had seen countless envoys and adventurers make grand promises, only to fail. Yet this human seemed different. There was no arrogance in his posture, no impatience in his tone, just determination. "Many have tried and failed," she said finally. "My daughters are scattered across the galaxy. Some may not even remember who they are. Why should I trust you, human?" Elias smiled gently. "Because I do not rely on luck or force. I rely on observation, reasoning, and persistence. I will not give up until they are home." The queen's eyes softened, though her caution remained. "Very well," she said. "You may begin your search, but know this: if you fail, you will not return easily. The galaxy is dangerous for those who underestimate it." Elias nodded. "I understand." He spent the next days in the palace archives studying star maps, old records, and any clue about where the princesses might be. Each daughter had a unique story, and even small details could be a key to their location. He learned of the planets they might have passed through, the rogue factions rumored to take captives, and the alien tribes known for hiding travelers. The queen watched him work quietly. She was impressed by his focus and method. Where many alien trackers relied on brute force, Elias relied on intelligence. Where many would have rushed into danger, he planned carefully, accounting for every possibility. It was, she realized, a human trait, an unyielding curiosity and a willingness to take risks, tempered by careful thought. On the 10th night, Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The twin moons glowed softly in the sky, and he felt the weight of the mission settle on his shoulders. He knew the journey ahead would be long and perilous. There would be storms, hostile creatures, and planets that tested the limits of survival. Yet he felt a strange sense of certainty. Humans had survived against incredible odds, built civilizations from nothing, and adapted to countless challenges. If anyone could find the princesses and bring them home, he believed it was possible. In the quiet of that moment, the queen appeared beside him. "Do you truly believe you can find them?" she asked. Elias looked at her steadily. "I do. Not because I am stronger or faster, but because I never stop thinking, never stop trying, and never stop believing that we can make a difference. That is what makes humans special, and I will use it to bring your daughters home." The queen studied him for a long moment. Then, for the first time in years, she felt a small flicker of hope. Perhaps after so much loss, the universe had sent her a human capable of achieving the impossible. And so, under the glow of twin moons and the watchful stars, Elias began the first step of a journey that would span galaxies, challenge the limits of courage, and prove that humanity, though small in form, was immense in heart and spirit. Elias had studied every record the palace could offer. Maps, star charts, old traveler logs. Everything pointed to a single truth. The princesses had been taken far from their home, scattered across distant and dangerous worlds. But he was not afraid. Humans were not always the strongest or fastest, but they adapted. They solved problems others could not, and they never gave up. That would be his greatest advantage. His small ship, modest by alien standards, hummed quietly as it left the planet's orbit. Outside, stars stretched into long streaks as he engaged the faster-than-light drive. Elias leaned back in his seat and reviewed the first clues. The eldest princess, Leora, had been seen near the icy moons of the Helion system. The middle daughter, Erin, was rumored to be among a nomadic tribe of desert dwellers on a distant planet. And the youngest, Sela, had been taken to a jungle planet, home to creatures that could crush a human in seconds. As he charted his course, Elias thought of the queen. She had trusted him despite knowing nothing of his experience or skills. He felt a responsibility, heavier than the weight of his ship, to succeed. Humans, he reminded himself, often did the impossible when the stakes were highest. The first stop was a neutral trade planet known as Viraxis, a hub for travelers from across the galaxy. Elias landed quietly, avoiding the attention of the bustling spaceport. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through the crowded streets, some haggling, others rushing to unknown destinations. Elias walked calmly among them, taking notes on the strange architecture, the energy pulses of the city, and the rumors floating like invisible currents in the air. He found a small cantina tucked between towering crystal spires. Inside, the noise was thick with chatter and the smell of alien spices. Elias approached the bar and studied the patrons. Humans had learned to read subtle cues, body language, expressions, hesitation. Here it would be no different. A local trader, a six-armed creature with orange eyes, noticed Elias observing. "You are new," it said in a guttural tone, "and curious." "I seek information," Elias replied, keeping his voice calm. "About 3 missing princesses." The trader laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "Many come seeking them, none return." "Why should I speak to you?" Elias smiled, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. "Because I am not like the others. I listen carefully, observe, and act with patience. I do not rely on weapons, only my mind. If you help me, I will help you. Perhaps your trade routes, your secrets, can gain protection in return." The trader paused, studying the human's face. Humans were strange, physically weak, yet strangely fearless. They faced danger without immediately attacking or fleeing. It was a quality few alien species possessed. Finally, the trader nodded. There is a rumor. The eldest princess, Leora, was taken to the frozen moons of Helion 7. Many think she cannot survive there. Few dare to go. Thank you, Elias said. Your information is invaluable. The trader's many eyes narrowed. Be careful. Helion 7 is unforgiving. Only those clever and persistent survive. And humans, sometimes they do. Elias left the cantina with a sense of cautious optimism. The first clue had been found. What mattered now was preparation. He stocked supplies, recalculated routes, and reviewed survival strategies for ice planets. Humans had a knack for using simple tools in clever ways. He would need that now more than ever. 2 days later, Elias approached Helion 7. The planet was a swirling mass of ice storms, jagged mountains, and freezing winds that could pierce steel. Many alien Essa. The icy winds of Helion 7 howled endlessly, but Elias had learned to move carefully through them. In the cave, he had found markings, small signs left behind by Princess Leora. She had survived here once, carving messages of strength into the walls. That gave Elias hope. If she had lived through such harsh conditions, perhaps she was still alive somewhere. But Helion 7 was not safe for long. Patrol ships from a rogue alien faction circled the skies, searching for trespassers. Elias knew he could not stay. He marked the evidence he found, stored samples, and returned to his ship. His path was clear. Find the second princess, Erin, who was said to be living among nomadic desert tribes on a faraway planet called Thalor. As his ship soared through hyperspace, Elias studied every record he had on Thalor. It was a desert world, with endless dunes, scorching suns, and tribes that trusted no outsiders. Water was rare, life was harsh, and survival required not just strength, but cleverness. Elias smiled faintly. Harsh worlds had always tested humans, and they had always endured. When his ship landed on Thalor, a blast of hot air nearly knocked him back. Sand swirled in the wind like knives. He wrapped cloth tightly around his face and stepped out. The horizon stretched endlessly, with no cities, no comfort, only moving dunes and scattered encampments of tents. Elias walked for hours, guided by the stars and his instruments, until he spotted a group of desert nomads riding massive lizard-like creatures. They surrounded him cautiously, spears raised. Their leader, a tall figure with golden skin and sharp eyes, stepped forward. "You are not of Thalor," the leader said. "Why have you come to our sands?" Elias raised his hands calmly. "I seek someone who once lived here. A young woman. She may have joined your people," the nomads muttered among themselves. Strangers rarely survived long in the desert, and humans were especially weak to the heat. But the leader studied Elias carefully. Unlike most outsiders, the human showed no fear. His eyes were steady, his voice respectful. "We do not give answers to those who have not earned water," the leader finally said. "Prove yourself, and perhaps we will speak." Elias nodded. "What must I do?" The leader pointed to the horizon, where a sandstorm gathered like a living beast. "One of our young is lost in the storm. Bring him back and we will hear your questions." Most aliens would have refused, fearing the storm's fury. But Elias only tightened his cloth, checked his gear, and set off into the desert. The storm roared around him, blinding and suffocating, yet he pressed forward, relying on instinct and training. Humans had always faced storms. On Earth, at sea, in mountains, and now among the stars. Hours passed before he found the missing youth, clinging weakly to a rock as the storm battered him. Elias pulled him up, shielded him with his own body, and guided him step by step back through the chaos. The storm nearly buried them, but Elias never stopped moving, never stopped thinking. Using the stars as a guide and marking the wind's shifts, he found the way back. When they returned, the nomads greeted the youth with cries of relief. The leader looked at Elias with newfound respect. "You are not strong in body, but strong in will," he said. "That is a strength our desert values. Ask your question." Elias described Princess Erin, her appearance, her heritage, her courage. The nomads grew silent. Finally, the leader spoke. "Yes, she was among us. Years ago, a young woman came from the stars. She learned our ways, fought our battles, and walked our sands as one of us. But she left to seek others of her kind. She journeyed toward the jungle world of Chiron." Elias bowed deeply. "Thank you. You have given me more than water." The leader placed a hand on his shoulder. "Human, your spirit is like fire. Small, but it burns even in the coldest night and the hottest day. If you succeed in your quest, the desert tribes will remember you." Elias returned to his ship, his heart steady. He now knew that Erin had survived, and that her path led to the same jungle world where the youngest princess, Selah, was rumored to be. Perhaps fate had brought them together. The journey to Chiron was not easy. The planet was hidden within a cluster of stars wrapped in dense nebula clouds. Navigation was dangerous. One wrong move could tear a ship apart. Elias focused intently, adjusting his course again and again. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but his hands never shook. Humans had always found paths where none existed. At last, the jungle planet appeared before him. Green, wild, alive. The air shimmered with humidity, and the cries of strange beasts echoed even from orbit. Elias landed carefully on a plateau covered in vines. Immediately, he felt the weight of the jungle pressing down. Thick air, endless noise, hidden predators. He moved cautiously, every sense alert. The jungle was not unlike Earth's old forests, but larger, stranger, more dangerous. He cut paths through vines, avoided venomous insects, and listened for signs of human-like movement. At night, he built a small fire and studied the stars. Somewhere in this vast jungle, 2 princesses might be waiting. The task was daunting, but he reminded himself, humans had survived worse. The key was patience, cleverness, and courage. As he lay awake, listening to the growls in the distance, Elias thought of Queen Erisol. She had carried her grief for 10 years. Each step he took, each clue he found, brought him closer to healing that wound. It was not just a mission, it was a promise, one he intended to keep. The jungle stirred around him, alive with unseen eyes. Elias gripped his blade calmly, his mind already forming strategies. Tomorrow, he would begin searching deeper. Somewhere, hidden among the trees, was the next chapter of this journey. And though the galaxy was vast and full of dangers, Elias knew one thing for certain. When a human set their heart to a task, no storm, no desert, no jungle, and no enemy could stop them. The jungle of Chiron was alive with noise, birds with wings like metal, insects that glowed in the dark, and beasts that stalked silently between the trees. Elias moved carefully through it all, his steps steady, his eyes sharp. The air was heavy with heat and moisture, but he pressed. On. He had come with 2 names in his heart, Erin, the second princess, and Selah, the youngest. The desert tribes had told him Erin had passed through this world. If the rumors were true, she might still be here. And perhaps her younger sister too. Elias studied the ground as he walked. Broken branches, footprints in the mud, and the remains of small fires told him he was not alone. Someone had been here recently. He smiled faintly. Humans had always been hunters and trackers. Even in a strange galaxy, those skills had value. By evening, Elias found signs of a camp hidden in the trees. He crouched low, watching from a distance. Figures moved among the fires. Slim, graceful, with features that matched the queen's descriptions. His heart leapt. He had found them. But he did not rush forward. Trust was not given easily, especially to strangers. Elias knew he must be careful. He waited until night, then lit a small fire a safe distance away, hoping to draw attention without appearing as a threat. It worked. Soon, two figures approached cautiously, carrying spears made from sharpened jungle wood. Elias stood calmly, showing empty hands. When the firelight touched their faces, he saw them clearly. One was older, strong, and confident, Aaron. The other was younger, her eyes full of curiosity and caution. Selah. "Who are you?" Aaron demanded, her spear pointed steady at his chest. "I am Elias," he said simply. "I have come from your mother, Queen Arisel. She sent me to bring you home." The sisters exchanged a look. For years they had been lost, surviving on their own, learning the ways of the jungle. They had heard many lies before from raiders and strangers. Why should this human be different? Selah stepped closer, her voice soft but sharp. "You expect us to believe you? Why would a human come across the stars for us?" Elias did not flinch. "Because your mother never stopped searching, because she never gave up hope, and because humans do not turn away from a promise. I told her I would bring you home, and I will." Aaron's eyes narrowed, testing his words. "And why should we trust you? Many came before with promises. Some wanted to use us as bargaining pieces. Others wanted only the queen's reward." Elias looked at her steadily. "If I wanted wealth or glory, I would not be sitting here with no weapon in hand. I would not have walked into this jungle with nothing but my wits. I came for you, not for gold." There was silence. The crackling fire lit their faces, and Elias could see doubt slowly giving way to thought. Finally, Selah lowered her spear. "If you speak the truth, then prove it. Survive here with us. Show us you are not like the others." Elias nodded. "Then let us survive together." The following days tested him more than ever before. The jungle was merciless. Venomous snakes struck from trees, giant beasts prowled at night, and storms poured heavy rains that flooded the ground. Aaron and Selah moved like shadows through it, skilled from years of survival. Elias followed, learning their methods, adapting, quickly. Where brute strength failed him, he used cleverness. When a predator cornered them, Elias set traps with vines and stones, outsmarting the creature instead of fighting head-on. When food was scarce, he found edible plants the sisters had overlooked, recalling lessons from Earth's old survival guides. When storms came, he built stronger shelters using simple but effective techniques. The princesses watched him with growing respect. Aaron, who had been hardest to convince, began to see that this human was different. He was not reckless, but patient. Not weak, but resourceful. He listened, learned, and the return journey across the stars was long. Elias's small ship carried more than passengers now. It carried hope. Aaron and Selah, once thought lost forever, sat quietly as the stars flowed past them. The weight of years in the jungle still clung to them, but slowly their eyes brightened, remembering the world they had left behind. Elias flew with steady focus. Every so often he looked back at them. He could see their strength, built from surviving deserts and jungles, yet beneath, it was something fragile. They were daughters longing for home. He knew their journey was not complete until their mother held them again. When the ship finally descended toward the queen's shining palace, a hush filled the cabin. The crystal towers glittered in the sunlight, and the palace gardens spread, like a dream below. Selah pressed her hand to the glass, her voice trembling. "I remember this place." Aaron's jaw tightened. "We'll see if it welcomes us." The ship landed in the grand courtyard where guards and nobles gathered. A ripple of shock swept through the crowd as they saw the princesses step out, alive and strong. Some bowed, others wept openly. The news spread like fire. After 10 years, the queen's daughters had returned. Queen Arisel herself stood at the top of the palace steps, her figure graceful but trembling. Her eyes widened, filled with disbelief and tears. Slowly, she descended. The daughters froze, unsure if the moment was real. Then, with a cry that echoed through the courtyard, the queen embraced them both. "My stars," she whispered. "My light. You have come home." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Arisel's eyes soon turned to Elias. The queen's gratitude was clear, yet so was her caution. Many had tried to find her daughters before, but most had sought only reward or power. Was this human truly different? That evening, after celebrations filled the palace, the queen summoned Elias to her private chamber. She stood tall, her daughters beside her, their hands resting gently on hers. "You have done what no other could," she said. "You brought my children back to me. For that, I honor you. But before I trust you fully, I must know your heart." Elias bowed slightly. "I understand. Ask what you will." The queen gestured, and the chamber's walls shifted, revealing a test unlike any he had faced before. 3 paths appeared before him, glowing with alien energy. Each path held a different trial, designed to test mind, spirit, and courage. "You will walk these trials," Erisel said. "Not to prove your strength, I know you are clever and determined, but to prove your intent. Do you seek this for glory, or do you truly act for others?" Elias nodded. "Then I will walk them." The first path was one of illusions. Holograms of gold, treasures, and power surrounded him. Voices whispered promises, kingdoms, ships, eternal fame. Elias walked calmly through it all. He reached out, to none of it, his focus steady. "I did not come for wealth," he said softly. "I came for family." The second path tested his spirit. He was shown visions of failure, princesses lost again, the queen weeping, galaxies laughing at his weakness. The images cut deep, pressing fear into his heart. Yet Elias stood firm. "Fear cannot guide me," he said. "I will keep walking no matter what." The third path was one of sacrifice. A great wall of energy blocked the exit, burning with force. To pass through meant pain, perhaps even harm. Elias did not hesitate. He stepped forward, shielding his eyes, enduring the searing light until he emerged on the other side. His body shook, but his eyes were steady. The chamber dimmed, and the queen appeared again with her daughters at her side. Her expression was unreadable as she asked, "Why did you not take the treasures? Why endure pain when you could have walked away?" Elias answered simply, "Because humans are not measured by what we take, but by what we give. I did not come to steal from you or gain power. I came to keep a promise. A mother asked for her daughters, and I will never walk away from that." Silence filled the chamber. Then the queen smiled, tears bright in her eyes. She stepped forward and placed her hands on his shoulders. "You are unlike the others, Elias. Small in body, but vast in spirit. You have shown wisdom, patience, and courage. You are human, and perhaps that is what makes you great." Aaron and Selah exchanged glances, their respect for Elias now complete. They had seen his cleverness in the desert and jungle, but now they saw his heart. He had no need to win their trust anymore. He had earned it. That night, the palace lit up with celebration. Music filled the air, and the people sang of hope reborn. The queen declared a day of honor for Elias, the human who had crossed deserts, storms, and jungles to bring her daughters home. Yet even as the cheers surrounded him, Elias remained calm. He did not bask in the glory. Instead, he looked to the stars outside the palace windows. There were more journeys waiting, more mysteries to solve, more promises to keep. When asked what he wished as a reward, Elias shook his head. "I need nothing. The greatest reward is seeing a family together again. That is enough for me." The queen smiled gently. "You are free to return to your path, but know this. You will always have a home here. This world and my daughters will never forget the human who brought light back into our lives." And as the night stretched on, Elias stood quietly, surrounded by laughter and music, knowing in his heart that humanity's strength was not in power, but in courage, cleverness, and compassion. The palace had not seen such joy in many years. Lanterns floated above the crystal towers, carrying trails of light into the night sky. The streets below were alive with song, laughter, and celebration. The queen's daughters, Aaron and Selah, walked freely among the people, no longer hidden, no longer shadows of their past. They were home. At the heart of it all stood Elias, The human had become the center of every story told that night. Children tugged at their parents' sleeves, whispering about the small traveler who had outwitted storms and creatures. Elders lifted their glasses, praising his courage. Soldiers bowed as he passed, their respect plain. Yet Elias felt uneasy with so many eyes on him. He had not made this journey for fame, nor for praise. His gaze drifted toward the stars above, endless and silent. Somewhere out there, more stories waited to be lived. The queen, dressed in silver robes, approached him quietly. She studied his calm face and smiled. "You do not drink in the glory, Elias. Most would stand tall and claim it as their own. Why do you turn from it?" Elias gave a small shrug. "Because it was never about me. It was about them." He nodded toward Aaron and Sela, who were laughing together among the crowd. "I only did what was right." Arisel's eyes softened. "That is why you are different. And that is why this world will never forget you." The celebration lasted, deep into the night. But when the first light of dawn touched the palace towers, Elias made his decision. He could not remain here no matter how welcome he was. His journey was not meant to end in crystal halls. When the palace slept, he walked through the quiet gardens. The air smelled of flowers and the fountains whispered softly. At the edge of the courtyard he found Aaron and Sela waiting for him. "You're leaving," Aaron said. It was not a question, but a truth she already knew. Elias nodded. "Your world does not need me now. You are home with your people. My place is out there." He pointed to the sky. Sela's voice trembled. "But you gave everything for us. Why not stay? My mother would grant you anything you asked." "I don't need riches," Elias said. "What I need is the road ahead. There are still lost voices out there, still battles that must be fought. Humanity is small, but we carry something no one else does, a fire to keep walking when others give up." The sisters fell silent, understanding him more deeply than words could say. Finally, Aaron stepped forward and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Then carry our blessing with you. Wherever you go, remember you are not alone. You gave us hope. We will give you the same." When the queen heard of his choice, she did not stop him. Instead, she met him at the palace gates with her daughters at her side. Her voice carried over the courtyard as she spoke words that would echo through generations. "Elias of Earth, you are no prince, no knight of our people. Yet you have done what no crown or blade could achieve. You showed us that courage does not live in bloodlines, but in the heart. Go where the stars call you. But know this, you will always be kin to my house, and your name will be sung here until the last dawn." Elias bowed, humbly, and with a quiet smile, stepped into his ship. The engines hummed to life, the wings glowing faintly in the morning light. The crowd that had gathered watched as the human's small craft lifted into the sky, growing smaller and smaller until it vanished among the stars. For many years after, tales of the human spread far beyond the Queen's world. Traders carried the story to distant colonies. Wanderers told it in quiet camps beneath alien suns. Children dreamed of the human who walked through storms and shadows to keep a promise. And in time, Elias's story reached even those who had doubted humanity's worth. To the great empires, humans had seemed fragile, short-lived, and unremarkable. But here was proof. Strength was not always in size, nor power in weapons. Sometimes the greatest force was a heart that refused to quit. Back on Earth, Elias remained, a mystery. His name was seldom spoken, for he never returned with trophies or riches. But those who knew him remembered a man who lived, not for himself, but for others. And in quiet moments, when the stars shone bright, some whispered that Elias still wandered among them, being the next soul who needed a hand, the next light that had been lost.